Welcome back. Hello again. Now, you may have noticed or you may not have, but I actually selected the modules that I put in each of these cases so that they could function independently of each other. Of course, all together is the most powerful combination, but each one of these boxes does contain the essential components to function as a synthesizer by itself. And today we're going to look at the Pico case. Because look, I've got a VCA right here with some modulation ability. The CLX is a trigger and clock generator. The E950 is an oscillator with a noise source, and in speech mode is kind of a percussive sound that is triggerable. This right here is a passive filter array. Pip slope is a function generator. It can do an envelope, an LFO. Basically, it's a CV source. This is a multimode filter. And the Chaos NAND is another oscillator slash drone noise source. And the SAG-in works kind of like a VCA, which means that this can be triggerable by itself. So, I've got all of the pieces here to do some synthesis. Well, except for attenuation, but I have my little homemade passive modules for that, and I will probably have to use a few. But I'm gonna do an edit to see what I come up with. Alright, so what I've come up with first is a pretty basic self-playing patch. The CLX is controlling things timing wise. Its output A is going into the CV control for the top oscillator 3 on Chaos NAND. At clock B is triggering the pip slope, and then the pip slope voltage is going into the frequency modulation on the E950. Now let's see, the AND output is going in here to gate Morphium's VCA. The audio from the E950 is going through the VCA and then out from there to my mix. And now the XNOR from the CLX is going into the SAG input of the Chaos NAND, essentially gating it. The Chaos NAND's output is going into the MMF, and then from there out to my mix. Let's hear what that sounds like. Pretty straightforward. Let's see what else I can come up with. Okay, here's another one that's pretty basic. Maybe even simpler than the previous one. I've got the E950 in speech mode. Clock A is triggering the speech. I have the pip slope set to loop mode, running a very slow envelope that's going into the index input and scanning through the word bank of the E950. Now let's see, clock B once again is going into the SAG, and it's basically gating the Chaos NAND, whose output is going through the filter and out to my mix. The output from the E950 is going direct to my mix, and I'm using the AND output from the CLX to affect oscillator 2 of the NAND, and that's going to sound like this.
Greater. Feather. Less. Plunger. Workman. Treasure. Leisure. Bestower. Journey. Journey. Laughter. Laughter. Reindeer. 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 Fierce. Couldn't. Earnest. Feather. Less. Plunger.
Kind of hypnotic. All right, let's see what else we can do. Okay, this one's a little bit different. I have my Arturia key step set up as a controller, and this patch will utilize the let me adjust my tripod here. This patch will utilize the Pico case more like a conventional monosynth with a keyboard controller. I have coming out of the key step, the pitch is just going directly into the volts per octave input on the E950. This one here is gate from the controller, and it is going into the gate input of the pip slope. And then I also have a modulation output from the controller, which I've put here to control the modulator on the Morpheum. The actual modulation source is just the one square wave oscillator from the Chaos NAND that's plugged in there. Now, pip slope is being gated by the controller, and the CV out from there is going into my homemade splitter, Molt. One of the outputs is going over here to control the filter, and the other one is going over here to control the VCA of the Morpheum. Now the VCA's audio input is coming from the low pass out of the filter, and the audio output from the E950 is going into the filter. So it's a pretty conventional synthesizer setup. And if I play some keys, it triggers the envelope, and I can adjust that to be more snappy. Give it a softer attack, a longer decay. And now I have the filter response right now set at 0. But if I want the filter to respond to the envelope, then I just have to turn that knob up, and then if I move the mod ribbon on my controller, I can dial in a little bit of that ring modulation effect on the Morpheum from down here without having to actually turn a knob. Right, and one other thing, I'm using Clock B from the CLX, and that is plugged into the effect modulating input, and in order to hear that I have to turn up the attenuator knob. adjust the speed a little. So there you go, adding a controller, I can actually get a pretty decent synthesizer with just that little case right there. And I guess next time we'll see what all the Pittsburgh case can do by itself. That's all for now. Catch you guys next week. As usual, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you find this kind of stuff interesting. And as always, huge shout out to my patrons who paid for most of this stuff. So thanks, you guys. Catch you next time.